Hello friends, Adam here with FED. So today I want to talk about Fire Emblem Path of Radiance and why I think it is what I would call a flawed masterpiece. I think it is a really great story, really fun, colorful cast of characters. I honestly think like the map design in the first half of the game is really, really good. I don't think we really see, I really can't think of any maps until you get to like chapter 16 that I don't like. I actually like them all a lot. So the first 15 I think are all on point, and then there's even some after that point that are still good. And there's no reason that it should be there's no reason it shouldn't be like top of the list, except for just a couple of things that really hamper the experience. Just a couple of things. There's not. It's a great game for the most part, but there are just a couple of things here or there that really grind my gears, make the game a lot less fun. So I just want to show off a couple things really quick to just illustrate what I'm talking about here. So we're just gonna have some gameplay on screen here. So okay. Default settings, everything is so slow. That's the big thing. So definitely want to just turn everything up. That's a lot better right there. But my first gripe is this. Coming from the SNES games and the GBA games and then going to this battle animation, I understand it's their first time in 3D, and they're honestly just like okay looking. I mean, they look pretty gross, but you remember it's a GameCube game, I guess. But they're so slow. Ugh. And the way enemies select you to attack you, it takes forever too. Everything about this game is like just playing in molasses. It is so painfully slow. So painfully slow. And you may think, oh, we'll just turn animations off and it'll go a little faster. And while that is obviously true, it does go a little faster, it is still slower than any other game in the series. Aside from maybe like FE1 and FE2. The two NES games, the two first games in the frickin' series where they're still figuring things out on the Nintendo. On the NES, on the Famicom. Like, look how slow this is still. They have to, like, take turns. They both have really long, like, hit stun animations. It takes them forever to, like, recover and get into a point where they can attack back. Makes this game so painful to play, man. So painful. Like, I'm running out of things to say just because there's so much time in between, like, actions. Like, doing things. Just, like, the inputs per second are a lot lower. Or, I guess I should say inputs per minute are so much lower in Path of Radiance than they are in like any other game in the series. Like I've been playing FE4 recently, and that's not even like that fast of a game, but I'm able to like be pretty snappy, especially on player phase. But I can't even be snappy on player phase in this game. All right, and to illustrate the next point I want to talk about, we need to go to Chapter 1. Chapter 1 introduces some new units and whatever else, and that's fine. Introduces Titania, who is without a doubt the best unit in the game. She starts off with amazing stats. She uses the two best weapon types in lances and axes, and she is just busted. And yes, she may start off really strong. You may be thinking, oh, but she'll fall off later. And while she doesn't quite perform as well in the late game as she does here, she's still serviceable there. You can still make her work. And that goes into my big problem with Path of Radiance overall, and it's a big problem I have with a lot of Fire Emblem games actually, is that mounted units have too many tools at their disposal and it's not balanced at all. And I've talked about that before, where does balance really matter? And no, it's a single player game. Balance doesn't matter. But it's frustrating when a unit that I like say, Zahark or Mia or Boyd, are held back just simply because they don't have a horse or they're in a different kind of class. So what kind of things do they have, right? They have higher movement, just overall. They have what's called Canto, and this is like a super Canto, in that after any action you take, whether it's combat, using an item, rescuing someone, you can use your leftover movement. Just busted. We see that in 3 Houses as well. Right? It's just super good. So, and the thing is, their combat, mounted units in general, is good enough to get the job done. Where you have units like Void, who have the potential to just be insane, you know, have incredibly high strength and like speed enough to double in endgame and stuff. He has the potential for that, but that doesn't really matter all that much because you have weapon forges, you have just low enemy quality. You hear me? I toss that around a lot when I talk about Fire Emblem, enemy quality. When I say enemy quality, I just mean how strong are the enemies? Do they put up an actual fight, or are they pushovers? And most enemies in Path of Radiance are pushovers, especially in the U.S. release. I'm playing the Japanese release right now, which includes the hardest difficulty they made. But in the U.S. release or the international release, they didn't put Maniac mode in there. And without Maniac mode, which isn't very fun to play in my opinion, without Maniac mode, the overkill stats of not mounted units don't really help all that much except for like some very few situations that you can get around even without them. So units like Astrid, who comes level 1, she does have Paragon, but she comes level 1, are considered to be relatively decent just because she has a mount, just because she has a horse. I know a lot of people will say that Astrid is one of their favorite units and is a great one in the game. And it really comes down to, if she didn't have a horse, if she was just an archer with no horse, no one would like her. No one would like her. Mounts are too good in this game. So those are my two like major gripes with Path of Radiance, and they really hinder the experience. It's super slow. Like that enemy phase took forever, right? And there's just a few attacks, so it's just it loses my attention after a little while because I am not engaged. I'm not engaging with the game. The game's just kind of playing itself. And again, you could argue that every game in the series does that, and they do to some extent. But Path of Radiance is, in my opinion, aside from FE1 and FE2 for the NES, the old, super old games, FE9 is the biggest offender of not respecting the player. I don't want to say not respecting the player's time. I don't want to sound entitled that way, but that's kind of what it is. It's not respecting the player's time, and I wish they would, do better. Not do that in this game, because otherwise, I think Path of Radiance has some of the most solid characters, story, design, just designs, just a super solid game. The gameplay is just a little too slow for my taste. Anyways, that'll do it for me today. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you enjoy Path of Radiance? Do you think it's the perfect game? Am I being too harsh on some of the little things that I'm complaining about? Would those changes even matter for those people who don't like the game? I don't know. I'd be really curious to know. And how do you think about Radiant Dawn in relation to this? I'll probably do another video on probably do a video on Radiant Dawn. It'll probably come out tomorrow. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think, and I will catch you guys next time, friends.